haven't led this class in a long time, so I'm trying to get it back in my head a little bit, and I'm excited to see all of you here. Okay. I think we are going to go ahead and get started. We still have a few people coming in, so maybe I'll just... You may.
I'm looking where the microphones always are. Oh, they're all ready to go. Yeah. So Sandy will be master of microphones. You get to tell them that he gets to run around with microphone. Welcome. It is nice to see so many new faces. My name is Erin Sloan, and I'm getting on camera and also closer to Sandy.
It's also so much fun.
This is my first time giving this announcement, so bear with me. But I help sort of organize some of the programs, the scheduling, stuff like that. And I've been around a long time. So there's things that we need you to know. The center is open usually from Tuesdays to Fridays from around 10 in the morning until around 6. If it's really important that someone's here when you get here, you can always call ahead because we have like 2 people on staff. So sometimes, somebody's out to lunch or whatever. You can come in and meditate. You can read books in our library. You can make a cup of tea. You can buy something from the bookstore. So if you have time during the week, that's a lovely thing to do. On Fridays from noon to 1, you bring your own lunch, and you can come and eat lunch with other people here if you'd like. Saturdays, we've started something called Dinners at 6. That means 6 o'clock. The meetup is at Aladdin's in North Hills, and that's just a chance for people to get to know each other. And really the go-to place for Kadampa Center, and I still use it after 15 years, is the calendar. I just click on the calendar and look at everything and see what's going on. But there are also weekly emails, which are really useful. There is a part of our website, if you click on this class, you can register. And so that just kind of helps us know how many people are coming, and if we really needed to get in touch with people, like we could. We haven't really used it for that ever, but it's just requested. It's not required. It just kind of helps us keep track of things. So if you're taking a new class in the future, or if you want to still register for this class, that's a helpful thing for us. It's important to know that we are a donation-based center. So a lot of times you'd have other centers, even FPMT centers, other Buddhist centers, and they would charge a fee for a class. We do everything based on what you're able or willing to give, because we don't want fees and things like that to be an obstacle for anybody. We want you to be able to come no matter what. But we still have to keep the lights on and all of those things. So there are ways to donate. There's a box outside the door for your traditional cash and checks. There is also one in the lobby. Text giving is, if you really just love doing things on your phone and things like that, there's a sign there at the back that tells you how to do that. And online through our website. Personally, the way that I think about this is that it's nice to, sometimes I overthink things and I second guess myself and I forget about things, or I'm just not really sure or whatever. So I like to just make one little step. Like if I set up text giving and think to myself, I'm going to follow up with that later, or if I even just have the smallest amount in my wallet that I have available and I found this valuable, I might give that. Just any little step. Sandy, in Buddhism we talk a lot about intention, but sometimes our actions kind of lead to future intentions. So it's nice to start with an action sometime, no matter how small, because that kind of stuff builds up.
We're going to go into a lot more of this type of thing. So you'll get some of what she's saying now, some of what you're going to understand a little bit more later.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
This is good.
List. Yeah. If you want to sign up for emails and you haven't done that online, there's a list on the concierge desk in the lobby. And you're in for a treat because we haven't had this class in a little while. A lot of our teachers were in India, including Sandy, so we didn't have this in the fall, but we have it now in January. So Sandy Carlson is the teacher for Buddhism in a nutshell.
Okay. Bear with me, you guys. So my name is Sandy Carlson. This is Class 1. It's January 8th, 2019. I have not yet gotten used to saying that. So 2019. We're going to be together. Hopefully, we're going to be together unless you get totally bored with me and decide not to come back for the next 5 Thursday nights or Tuesday nights. This is Tuesday night. So let's get this out of the way right now. Tuesday nights and Thursday nights are the nights that we usually have our introductory classes. And so sometimes we've been doing these on Tuesday nights and sometimes Thursday nights. And the last time I did this, I think I think all the times I've done this is Thursday. Wow. Okay. Here at Kadampa Center, we are all usually a volunteer-run organization. Almost 99% of us are volunteers. And so we all wear many, many hats. I have been many different things here at Kadampa Center, and I'm currently many different things here at Kadampa Center. But I'm going to be honest and tell you that leading this class is one of my all-time favorite things to do. So I tend to get a little excited. Okay? I'm not a sit-down type of class leader. We are going to be having discussion. I like interaction. So just bear with me because I haven't done this in I don't think I've led this class in well over a year, probably close to 2 years. Because we've got a lot of people here and a lot of more qualified people than me. So when I get to do this, I get excited. So just kind of go with it, all right? So the first thing I'm going to do, and I know this is going to take a little bit of time, but believe me, it truly is worth it. I like to go around. I'm going to get the mic right now, in fact. Where did she stash it? Okay, let's explain this. Okay, here's one. This is all I need right now. I don't want to squeak if I do this. Okay, so my name is Sandy Carlson. I've been coming here for about 10, maybe 12 years now. My mom and dad were in the military. I've lived all over the world. Moved here to Raleigh about 10 years ago, and my husband found Kadampa Center online on a Facebook ad for me because I'm Buddhist and I have not had a good place to study for a long time. So he was so excited when he came running into my office, look, there's a place for you here. And so I discovered Kadampa Center about 10, 12 years ago, and I truly, we'll get into a little bit more of my history, I truly felt like I had found a home the very second I walked in here. Now what I want to do is I'm going to pass this mic around. I want you all to introduce yourself to me, tell me where you're from, and a little bit about what brings you here tonight. I want to know if you're brand new to Buddhism. Have you ever been to? How many people here have never been to a Buddhist center before? Never been to a Buddhist center. Wow, you did it. Thank you. And it's not that weird, right? It's not that scary. We're going to get over some of this stuff. So you're walking in, eyes big and wide. Oh my goodness, I'm going into a cult. I'm going into all these weird places. I'm going to see all this weird stuff, right? But you were brave enough to take that first step, so congratulations. How many people have been here at Kadampa Center before? Okay, how many people have taken Buddhism in a nutshell before? Who did you take it with, out of curiosity?
20 years ago, I couldn't tell you.
Get out.
Location of Kadampa.
Oh, wow. I got to talk to you more. Okay. That's fun. So how many people have gone to another Buddhist center before? Okay, just one. Okay, so I'm going to explain about that and why this is important. But the first thing I want to do is I want to pass the mic around. So why are we passing the mic around? Number one, so we can all hear each other. And number two, we do record these classes. So later people can watch. We can refer to them again. We have a camera. It's not pointed at you. Unfortunately, it's pointed at me. So you're not on camera unless you want to come stand up here with me. But it helps because, number one, that we're streaming. So people can watch online if they can't make it to classes. And if you've ever watched online, there's nothing more irritating than you can't hear the question. So we're talking online for posterity, okay? So go with it.
So what information do you want, and I'll start?
I want your name, where you're from, and what brings you here tonight. And we're going to do it brief because we've got more people, so I'm excited.
Okay, my name's Hetty Hollyfield. I don't know where I'm from. I lived all over the place, but mostly Raleigh since 1970-something. And what brings me here tonight is I'm the program assistant for the next 5 weeks, although I won't be here for the next 2. We have someone else that'll be coming. So I'm here to facilitate and make sure the microphone gets around to you, and if you have a question, I run with the microphone to you. So, welcome.
Hetty
Happy to see
also
you.
went to India with me, so there was a whole group of us here.
You
so
can you can see our glow.
Yeah, we're still glowing.
Hi, Kimberly Melvin from the big thriving megalopolis of Fuquay Varina.
Oh, yay. I'm from Holly Springs. Okay.
And I'm here, traveled to a couple of Buddhist countries, and I seem to like the, I guess, vibe of it. So
Okay.
wanted to learn a little bit more about it.
Perfect. Thank you.
My name's Eric Melvin, and I live in Fuquay.
And she wouldn't come alone, so she drug you, right?
Actually, the opposite.
Oh, good. Okay.
We travel a lot, and we see a lot of different things, and it seems like wherever we go, we visit the local church or synagogue or whatever, and that's we don't understand necessarily the basis of it all, so we are here to get
Checking it out.
the beginning.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Spence Renfro. I'm originally from Wilson, North Carolina, which is east of here, but I've lived in the Raleigh area since about '86. And I'm here just because I'm curious. I want to see. I really don't have any background in this, so just interested to learn. And we'll go from
Curiosity is a
there.
great reason.
Gina Renfro, a Triangle native actually, living in Wake Forest now. Came to Kadampa Center in its old location 20 years ago, and recently listened to the Book of Joy
Yes.
with His Holiness the Dalai Lama and
Desmond
Archbishop
Tutu,
Desmond
yes.
Tutu. And so I wanted to reignite that learning.
Okay. Great book, by the way. The Book of Joy.
Hi, my name is Jill Hall, and I grew up in the central part of the state and have lived in Cary since 1993. And I'm here for, I guess, like a lot of other people, just interested in Buddhism and want to learn more about it.
Okay. That's perfect. Thank you. Curiosity is a perfect reason to come tonight. It's all good.
My name is Kieran Jerome. I'm from New York, and I was in the military for a while, and I have no background in Buddhism. I'm just curious to learn. And I've only lived here for about 7 months.
Okay. Military, what service line?
Marine Corps.
Okay. Thank you for your service. My father was military, and I have a son that's in the military, so I appreciate you very much.
Hi, I'm Chris. I handle all the audio and visual stuff. We do recordings. If you need any help with that, just let me know. And if you see any projection problems, please contact management. That would be me. Oh, I'm from Indiana. Did I mention that? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Chuck. Lived here in Raleigh long enough. I'll just say I'm from Raleigh.
Okay.
Took the meditation course last fall and
Okay.
was very intrigued with it and really liked the experience. So I wanted to expand on that.
Who was the class leader for that?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
I'm just out of curiosity because everybody's got different styles. David
yeah,
Macklis.
fantastic.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yes, David Macklis is phenomenal.
My name's Melissa. I have lived in Raleigh my entire life. I have learned a little bit about Buddhism in school, and I want a little bit more in-depth teaching.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
I'm Pat Dixon. I've lived in Raleigh since the 70s. I've been listening to a book by Pema Chodron, and I really like the thinking, and so I've been here, I think, 3 times to the Kadampa Center.
Okay, Sundays? Have you been coming on Sundays? Okay, so have you seen Geshe Gallic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
And,
I'll
I'm
explain more
looking
about
forward
that.
to it.
Okay.
I'm Joy Stevenson. I grew up and lived most of my life in the Garner area.
Okay.
And I just recently moved to Cary. And what brought me here, I needed some spiritual nourishment, and I came right before the midterm elections. And I needed a peaceful place for me to get grounded.
Okay.
And so I've been coming back for different things.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Michelle. I live in Raleigh, but I'm from California. And I've been drawn to Buddhism a few times in my life. I've watched some documentaries. But right now I have 2 children and life seems very chaotic. And I'm trying to find like a quiet space inside myself. And I feel like maybe Buddhism might have some answers about that.
Okay.
So-
Where, California, where?
In San Francisco. Yeah, but yeah.
I was born down in
Love
the
it.
George Air Force Base. I've lived in just about every Air Force base in California. It's where I tend to call home. And
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
always be a California girl. I love Raleigh. It's a wonderful place to raise kids.
yeah.
But yes, California.
San Francisco, my favorite city of all time to visit. Seriously.
Yeah.
Too much fun there.
Yes, it's a wonderful place.
I'm Lori. I grew up in North Carolina, but I've lived all over. We actually lived in San Francisco, a neighborhood apart. At the same time, we didn't know each other, but met here.
Oh, really?
And, small world, blocks away, like could walk to each other's house. But I spent time in India and Nepal, and I'm just interested to learn the basics about Buddhism.
Okay. When were you in India and Nepal?
Just traveling for a few months, not living there.
Okay.
But northern India and trekking in Nepal some. The
Oh,
Annapurna circuit.
beautiful. Yep.
So.
Hi, I'm Amanda Scott. I'm from Durham. I'm a Durham native, actually, and live in Durham still. And I've just always been really intrigued by Buddhism a little bit over the years, and I just read The Art of Happiness, and
My favorite book of all time.
made me intrigued even more, so I just decided to come check it out.
Okay.
I'm Jennifer, and I'm originally from Indiana, but I've been in Raleigh for about almost 20 years now. And I think I've come here, I know a little bit about Buddhism, but I'm sort of trying to restore my faith in humanity. I'm kind of
Okay.
hoping that I can find that in a community and within myself again.
Okay. I know this is taking a little bit of time, but truly this will be worth it.
My name's Matt. I'm from Upper East Tennessee. I moved to Carborough, I don't know, 4 years ago. And I read a few books along the way, and I think what I've got from them, the books that I've read, is to really have a practice, you need a teacher. So I figured I'd start somewhere.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm originally from Philadelphia. I came down here to go to the vet school down the road. I took the Meditation 101 course as well, and I just thought coming here to Buddhism in a nutshell would be a great way to learn more about it and kind of want to bring meditation and mindfulness to the profession.
Hi, I'm Meredith Bass. I'm pretty much a native of the Triangle. We've been living in Cary for the last 12 or so years. I've tried various spiritual paths, but I keep coming back to Buddhism, and especially like loving kindness meditation, and so I came here to Kadampa and just love it, and so now I'm taking the intro class, one of them.
Okay, so you've been going Sunday mornings then?
Yes.
Okay, so you too have
Yes.
seen Geshe Gelek?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm Elizabeth Yell, originally from Boston. I just moved to the Raleigh area about 4 months ago. And I've done meditation kind of on and off for a few years, and that's sort of what got me interested in learning more about Buddhism. And I came to, I forget how I found the center. I think I looked up a meditation center in Raleigh when I got here. And I finally made it to the Sunday meditation this week and just really loved it, so I wanted to come and be a little more involved.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Pam Wag. I'm originally from Canada.
Ooh, one of the farthest
maybe.
students, yeah.
But I've been living in the States for about the last 20 years or so. So I'm here because of the good review of my friend Chuck, who told me about it a few months ago, and Buddhism and meditation has always kind of been in my universe in the last few years, so I'm looking to add on to what I've already learned about, read about, listened to, etc.
Okay, perfect.
Hi all, my name is Vivek, and I am new to States. I've been here from the last 6 months only, and basically I'm from India, but I have come from Germany. Okay. And yeah.
Where in Germany?
Düsseldorf.
I was My dad was stationed there. Spang Dollar, my first place. See, I have been in a lot of places. So,
Yeah, so I'm new to Buddhism as well. So I came here just to know about it and about meditation and all. I've come here 2 more times, only on the Saturday meditation center, Saturday meditation class on very first Saturday something.
right,
Yeah, that's.
the first Saturday. So welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Dory DeYoung. I am been kind of adrift for many years spiritually, so I have been doing a lot of reading over the past few years, and everything that I read kind of feeds into Buddhism specifically, in particular the untethered soul. Yeah, it was very, very enlightening, and so I've come to learn more about the practice, and also to take the meditation course, because I can't figure out how to do it myself. So, so thank you.
My name is Philip Spragans, from North Carolina. I grew up in Lake Aston. I've been here in Raleigh for 20 years. I'm a recovering alcoholic. And part of that journey, I've discovered that probably for the last 20 years, I've had a real lack of spirituality in my life, and I've got a very anxious mind. So I've been researching meditation, although not practicing, which turned me on to the Kadampa Center. And then right off your website, I saw this class, which was recommended before your meditation class. So here I am.
Okay. Well, welcome. And congratulations, too, by the way. That's huge. That's a big deal. It is a big deal.
Hi, I'm Patty Geiger, and I've been in the area since 1986. I live in Apex. My dad calls it Ajax, the peak of clean living. Anyway, I have been drawn with a lot of the books that I've read as well that seem to come back to the depth, but yet the simplicity of the teachings. And I went through yoga teacher training with someone who was just ordained as a chaplain, a Buddhist chaplain. And so obviously she intermixed a lot of things. I'm very curious.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I met you last night. It's okay.
My name is Asia. I'm originally from the Bronx. I've been living in North Carolina for like 30 years. I'm a Navy veteran. I served in 9/11. What brought me here was last year, my best friend died on 9/11. And then the week after, another friend of mine died. So I'm just kind of like all over the place right now. And I just need something to bring me back to center.
Okay. And again, thank you for your service. I appreciate that you've come. I saw you last night. Okay, so you're doing the best you can. All right? And we'll talk more. This is a good place to be. Okay, just starting. So, welcome to Kadampa Center, and very nice to meet you.
My name is Michelle Martin. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
I've been in Raleigh since 1989, came from upstate New York. My spiritual path has kind of been all over the place, baptized Catholic, no longer. When I was in Wilmington, I found a church that was very welcoming, non-denominational, and then I moved back to Raleigh, and that was in 2012, and I have found nothing since, and I've looked and looked and looked and tried and tried and tried, and I feel like I have a very good personal spiritual routine, but one of the things that my friend Sarah and I wanted to do was meditation. And I did a lot of meditating when I was in Wilmington, and it is challenging. It's incredibly challenging. And right now, with my job and the stress that I'm under, finding time to meditate and finding time to quiet my mind is very difficult. And so we were looking to take the meditation class and thought, well, that's not till March, so why don't we just learn a little bit, more about Buddhism first, and then go from there. So,
okay. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm looking to quiet the mind.
There you go.
I'm Sarah Heinsohn, and I'm from Raleigh, and I'm here to see if I can change the way my mind works.
Boy, are you in the right class? Okay.
My name is Ricky. I was born in Ohio, but I live in Fayetteville. I just got out of the Army, and I never had a religious or spiritual background, so I'm starting here.
Well, wow, a lot of military and pre-military, and again, I really do thank you. My one son was Army National Guard, and he just switched over to full-time Air Force. So I really do know the sacrifices that are made, and my father was in, and it is not an easy life. It can be a great life in many different ways, but it's also a very challenging life. So I know this took a little bit of time for us to do, but it helps on a couple of fronts, and I'm going to identify some of those for you here. We're going to try to lay a foundation, okay, of what we're going to do in this class, how we want to act in this class, and what to expect out of this class, and what you can expect from me. And one of the things I wanted to do with this is to show you how similar, okay, so we're all kind of coming from the same place, right? Especially those of you that it's your first time in a Buddhist center, because I know that can't be that easy, you know, especially in our Western world when we've grown up in Catholic or Christian or whatever that was, and all of a sudden you're going to go and you don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're going to find. You don't know what kind of weird woo-woos out there. It can be very uncomfortable. And so going around and letting everybody hear, and we're saying a lot of the same things. My background, to give you kind of an idea of where I'm coming from and kind of my reasons for being here, some of my validation to be able to lead this class is my mom and dad were in the military. I grew up all over the world. Back in the day, my mom was Catholic, he was Lutheran, and they weren't even allowed to get married. Okay, so they had to elope. So there was already a kind of this open, challenging spirituality and religion in our home, and my folks traveled, and so they literally opened up the whole world to us kids. I've got an older brother and a younger sister, and my parents, I'm one of the fortunate ones, okay? They opened up the whole world to us. My brother's Catholic, my sister's Lutheran, and I'm Buddhist, and it's all okay. It makes for interesting Christmases sometimes, but other than that, it all works, because once you really get into some things, especially from the Buddhist perspective, there's a lot of discussion on whether Buddhism is even a religion or not. To me, it's not. To me, it's a way of life. You can be Christian Buddhist. You can be Jewish Buddhist. I don't care. I used to call my husband a Jibu, a Jesus Buddhist, because he's kind of tools and methodologies. And it's really important to set this groundwork here in this class I want to create a safe environment that's open. I want you to be able to ask your questions. You're here for a reason. I want discussion and open dialogue, because that's the way you're going to get the most out of this class, right? And to be comfortable. So we're going to be doing a lot of different discussion here. Tonight is going to be a little bit more I'm just going to throw a bunch of facts at you so we can kind of get on the same page. So it's going to be a lot of historical facts, and we're going to get going here in a little bit. But in the coming weeks, we're going to get into more of the concepts and theories. So tonight's going to be a little bit more dry and boring, and then in the future, we're going to get into, karma and emptiness and some of these other, truly, what is the mind? What is this all about? And we're going to go into that. Now, this class is an introductory class, so we're going to not deep dive. All right, we're going to kind of stay, and some of you are going to want to go into these deep questions and stuff, and I'm going to try my best to keep us in a lighter level for things. We will do some meditation, okay? So this meditation is the basic tool of Buddhism, so we will do a little bit of intro to meditation here. How many in this room have never meditated before? Okay, so we will do some basic meditation and learn Tibetan Buddhist meditation, which is quite different than some of the things that you may have learned, but so I've lived all over the world. I've actually always been interested in the Eastern philosophies. I started reading the first book that ever introduced the Buddha was The Cat Who Went to Heaven, a children's book, and from that moment I was gone. I think we sell it out in the bookstore. It's wonderful. But I've always been drawn to the Eastern philosophies, and I read a lot. I read the Dalai Lama, just all of his books that I could get hold of. So I was always drawn to this. So I had a lot of theoretical knowledge. I had a lot of book learning, okay? But I had a lot of black holes. So when I came to Kadampa Center, for me, it was literally like just that square peg finally found my square hole. You know, it finally seemed to start to make sense to me. And even though I had all of this book learning, there was still a lot of things I didn't understand, and I had a lot of black holes. And I really found when I came here and was talking with the real teachers, okay, we have 2 Tibetan monks here, these are the real deal, that all of a sudden things started to make sense a little bit more, and this path works for me. Of course, you know, I kind of deep dived right away because that's the type of person that I am, and there's a lot of things that I came up on that I didn't understand, and so I kind of built this mental bookshelf. And this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to build this mental bookshelf. The things that you don't really understand, I want you to stick up on that bookshelf for now, because we're not going to get to everything, and we're not going to be able to explain everything. And so you're actually going to come up with probably more questions after this class than what you even have right now. But just put the stuff up on that bookshelf so that you can just let it go for now, and we'll stay here. And then we can either pull things down at the last class and explain it more, or I'm going to explain the next steps after this class. Because since we are such a top-level class, we just need to skim along these surfaces. But I really do want us to just have this comfortable, safe place. Meditation, we're going to try meditation. If you want to, let's do a couple of quick logistics. The bathrooms are out the door and to the left. There's water, coffee, you know, little teas and stuff and snacks and stuff. Go get them. If you need to get up and go to the restroom, if you want to go get something to drink, if you want to bring a drink in here, do it. I just want this to be a very comfortable place. If you want to try meditation, you want to sit down on the cushions and give it a try, but after a while you want to get up, move around. I'm okay. I'm a fat old lady who's got bad knees. I don't sit on the cushions. I meditate in a chair. There's nothing holy about sitting on a cushion. But try the different positions, and we can do some of that. So the first thing I want to do, and again, I know this took a little time, but I'm hoping that you felt a little bit more comfortable thinking, oh, I'm not the only one that's just here out of curiosity or having this. So it's just about getting you comfortable, because this is a new thing to a lot of people, and it's just checking it out. I've been coming for a lot of years. I've taught this class. I actually have a teaching degree. That's one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite things to do. But actually, I don't consider myself a teacher. From a Buddhist perspective, we're going to do this later because we're going to do a lot of glossary terms. I consider myself a class leader, because a teacher in Buddhist terms is a lot different than what it is in American terms. And we're going to get into that in more detail. But for now, if you ever are telling somebody about me, just say class leader, don't say teacher, because that puts me on a different level that I don't want to be on, because I don't know all that. And we'll explain it more as we go. I keep kind of having a hum. Is that just me? Are you guys hearing that little whistle? Just every once in a while I get a thing. So my name is Sandy Carlson. This is first class of Buddhism in a nutshell. Our website is kadampa-center.org. Our parent organization is the FPMT. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch gears, and let's do just a very brief meditation, and then I'm going to kind of explain some of this so you understand kind of where we are, what's going on, what all this is about before we do it. So the first thing let's do is let's do just a very brief meditation. And I'm going to do meditation from a Buddhist perspective, a Tibetan Buddhist perspective, because it's a lot different. I've done transcendental meditation, I've done guided meditation, I've tried all these different types of meditation. And meditation from a Tibetan Buddhist perspective is completely different than the meditation that you've probably heard about or even been doing. Meditation from a Tibetan Buddhist perspective, it is not possible to clear your mind. It is not possible to think of nothing. From a Tibetan Buddhist perspective, you can't do it. Your mind is always working. So meditation means to become familiar with your mind. This room is called a Gompa. Gom means to become familiar with. So meditation is to become familiar with your mind. And so we're going to just do a very, very brief meditation. I'm going to keep it simple. We have a meditation posture. Okay, now I'm going to explain. I'm actually going to read this because I tend to do it myself and I don't even think about what I'm doing, and I want to explain it the proper way. This is This meditation posture is not about being uncomfortable. These are very simple reasons for some of the things that we're doing. So let's get into the posture, and then I'm going to just do a very brief meditation, and then we'll get into some of what's going on and where you are. But I'm actually going to read this because that way you hear the proper way instead of the Sandyism way. Okay, legs. If you're sitting on the ground, you can sit in the Vajra or full lotus position. And I think everybody understands you can cross your legs. You can just sit however you're comfortable. If you're sitting on a chair, sit a little bit more up front so you're not slouching back. Sit to the front and keep both feet basically on the floor. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a stable base, okay, something that we can hold for a long time. It's about being comfortable. Sometimes this floor can get a little cold, or if your feet hang over the edge, grab one of those cushions and put it under your feet. But it's really about sitting comfortably on the chair or the cushion. If you're on a cushion, sit a bit, like maybe a third of the way on the cushion, so it forces you to tilt your pelvis a little bit forward. Again, it gives you a basic steady pose that you can hold. Your arms you're going to hold loosely in your laps, kind of a little bit away from your body. You can either put your hands on your knees, or if you want to do it in the way that we tend to do it in the at the Kadampa Center, right hand on the left, thumbs together, it forms a little kind of a teardrop, and you place that right under to where it's kind of tucked in, and your thumbs are around your belly button. And what does this do? Why is this? So your arms it's so the air can flow in. Again, there's very common sense about everything. It allows the air to flow around your body. Your back is really important. To get your back straight, not rigid. If you think about like a stack of coins kind of stacked up, so your back isn't rigid, fully upright. One of the things that's not really in the handout, but I think is important, is pull your shoulders back just a little bit. So when you're sitting there, if you pull your shoulders back a little bit, that opens up your lungs for breathing. It opens up the channels. We're not going to get into that part of discussion about that spirituality, but it does open up some of your channels. It definitely opens up your breathing. So shoulders back, back straight. Your eyes. In the beginning for meditation, it's very easy to just go ahead and close your eyes. If you have been doing this for a while, or you're more comfortable, if you leave your eyes just slightly open, you don't want to be looking at anything, but just slightly open and maybe just fuzzed out, maybe 3 or 4 feet in front of you. Why is that? Because if you close your eyes, you can tend to get a little sleepy, and if you keep your eyes open and looking around, you can be distracted. Again, there's common sense for everything about this. Your jaw and your mouth. So you certainly don't want to be clenched tooth because you're trying to relax. So just loosen up your jaw a little bit. Maybe not have your teeth closed, but your mouth can be closed. And your tongue should be touching the roof of your mouth right behind your teeth. Now that sounds weird. Why is that? It helps to prevent a lot of saliva buildup. Again, common sense for all of this stuff. The Tibetan Buddhist masters have been doing this for over 2,500 years. Anytime you read a report or a study about meditation, they're usually speaking with these Tibetan masters, these Tibetan meditation masters, those who are in most of these reports and documentaries. Your head should be slightly tilted forward. The way that I tend to think about this is if you pretend that there's a string from the crown of your head that you can pull, it helps you to kind of get that line straight to where your head's just slightly tilted. So again, this is called the 7-point meditation posture. So just get comfortable. It's not about putting your body through a hard, rigid thing. Just get a little bit comfortable. This is a basic to start working with. The more that you can do this, the more that you can fall into place, the easier it will become. And then the more that you meditate, the easier this position is to hold while you're working with your mind. So the first thing I want to do is just do a slow scan of your body. Just make sure that there's no issues. And then I want you to take 3 deep breaths from kind of your stomach area, down low, and bring your lungs, just expand it. 3 deep breaths, and then allow your breathing to return to its normal pattern. Now we begin every meditation by setting our motivation and the intention. Why are we doing this? So why, out of all the things that you could be doing right now, are you sitting on a cushion at Kadampa Center with your eyes closed, listening to this lady? Whatever reason prompted you to do this is great. If you're here out of curiosity, that's perfect. If you're here to see if this quiets your mind and helps relieve some stress, that's great. If you're here because you want to learn to be a kinder person, that's wonderful. But it's said that the best motivation, the most powerful one, is that if we could even think something as simple as this, just sitting quietly for a couple of minutes is being done by me so that I can benefit all living beings. Now that probably sounds ridiculous, but just even thinking that way, just even thinking of, as strange as that may be, just try to think of that for just a few minutes, because it's said to make an imprint on our mind, and that because of karma, we're going to learn about that, because of karma, just by you thinking that way, you're setting an imprint on your mind that will inevitably ripen in a positive way in the future. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It will happen. This is called the great motivation, the Mahayana motivation, the wish to benefit all others. So just take a moment, breathe with that. Now, having set our motivation, we're now going to begin the actual meditation. We're going to do a very simple but not easy concentration meditation. All we're going to do is pay attention to our breath. The movement of your breath in and out through your nostrils. Just place your awareness on that. Nothing more, nothing less. The mind perceives the breath. We could almost say that the mind and the breath are one. We're not describing the breath, we're not counting it, we're just experiencing it. And any time that you notice that your mind is someplace else, a sound, sore muscle, thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow, how to drive home tonight, let all of that go. Come back to the breath and just be aware of the breath. Over and over and over. The mind is becoming familiar with the experience of the breath. That's the meditation, coming back to the breath over and over. Now we end our meditations with what we call dedications. We mentally give ourselves a little pat on the back, and we acknowledge that we have done something good. It's a little out of the ordinary for us. We reaffirm what our motivation was, and that this simple meditation, may it make on our mind stream an impression that will ripen in a way that benefits all living beings. Relax and bring your attention back to the room. Now that was very, very brief. That literally took us all of 3 minutes. Okay? That meditation posture is important, to start to learn that a little bit, and to go through some of those steps on just the breath. For those of you that are saying that there's no time in the day, we're so busy, if you take less than 5 minutes and just do that simple thing, it will make a difference. The interesting thing about meditation, Tibetan Buddhist meditation, is these Tibetan Buddhists, they do not study stress reduction and stress relief and how to do that. They do very specific meditations, and the byproduct of meditating in this manner is automatically to have less stress in your life. This is a proven, documented fact. So they don't do, like you can go online and find those meditations to, for stress relaxation. That, while that can work, absolutely it can work. The interesting thing about meditation from a Buddhist perspective is that by doing this meditation, concentration meditation, analytical meditation, the byproduct is less stress. The byproduct is more mindfulness. This is what comes along as you learn this path. There's two types of meditation in Tibetan Buddhist meditation, concentration meditation and analytical meditation. Concentration meditation is learning to focus your mind on one object. We just did that on the breath. Okay? Analytical meditation is when you take a subject and you start to analyze it. You argue with yourself. So concentrate. It'd be the same thing like you're going to go run a marathon. Well, you don't just go out and run that marathon. You go to the gym and you work out, right? And you go and you work out and then you start running a little bit, and then pretty soon you're able to run further. This is this exact analogy for this. And you have to learn how to work with your mind and what your mind is like before you can actually make these changes to your mind. This is actually what Buddhism is all about, is working with the mind. Buddhism is the science of the mind and learning to work with your mind. The problem is that it's the analogy, I'm the analogy queen, is that we're like a car mechanic working on a car that's racing down the freeway. So it becomes a little challenging sometimes. That's why we have to learn these things. But that's part of what we're going to do, because everything about this is about the mind. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is just do a very brief run through. Tonight again, what time is it? Okay, I'm doing okay. Well, number one, where are you at? You're at Kadampa Center. I'm going to do this real quick. Okay, so you've walked into a Tibetan Buddhist center. What does that mean? What have we got up here? We've got the Buddha. This is a statue. This is not a god. We're going to get in much more details about him pretty soon. We do not worship him, okay? We respect him, but the Buddha was just a man. And we're going to get in much more detail about him in just a minute. But this is not a god. We don't worship gods. In Buddhism, we're non-theistic, okay? There is no God the way that Christians believe in the way that that is. This is just a man, okay? This is a representation of the Buddha. This back here, and you can come up and we'll get rid of this. This is Lama Atisha. So he's like saint, like the saints, if you understand. So one of the things I want to try to get us on is the same page. Lama Atisha literally was a man that lived back in, I want to say I'm going to get this down right away because I am not a historian. I don't care about the history stuff, okay? I can sit here and tell you that Lama Atisha was probably back in the 700s or 800s. I actually wrote it down. 900. Okay, so he was 900. 11th century. He was born into a royal family. Lama Atisha studied the Buddhist texts. These here, all of these little boxes here, these are 84,000 teachings of the Buddha. Now these are written in Tibetan. I want you to kind of understand this so you're not kind of weirded out by anything. These are texts. These are written in Tibetan, so none of us understand it, but our two geshis that are here, they pull these down and read them. These are the sutras. These are the teachings of the Buddha. We don't study really the sutras. We study the commentaries on the sutras because these are so challenging for us to read in all of the different languages and stuff, but we study the commentaries on these sutras. How they know there isn't like a syllabus or anything of this, I don't know how they have structured it, but they know exactly where some of these things are. I don't. But these are the sutras, the teachings of the Buddha. Lama Atisha, back in the 11th century, he helped to write the Lam Rim. That's the original Buddhist for Dummies book. Okay, so he wrote this curriculum, this full-on outline of the graduated path to enlightenment. And again, I'm just going to start throwing some facts. It's not going to make a lot of sense until we can get to the discussion part, but just listen and then we'll get this figured out. So that's Lama Atisha. This here is Lama Tsongkhapa, who after Lama Atisha wrote the Lam Rim, Lama Tsongkhapa, who's very big in the Tibetan Buddhist, he helped to kind of clean up, just like any other religion and things. Things got kind of out of hand. There was a lot of political corruption, a lot of people not doing things properly, and Lama Tsongkhapa helped to kind of clean that up. Okay, he was another saint, for want of a better word, to kind of correlate this to things that you might understand. These are two of the Buddhist lamas, teachers, that we tend to study a lot in Tibetan Buddhism particularly. And the Lama Atisha wrote the Lamrim, Lama Tsongkhapa wrote the Lamrim Chenmo, which is, again, a commentary on a commentary. So when you go out to the bookstore and you see all of these books, you're going to read a lot of commentaries. These are all commentaries of different teachings of the Buddha. All right, so that just kind of, in Tibetan Buddhism, you'll see all of these bright colors. All of the prayer scarves, all of the prayer flags, all of the banners, all of these tankas. These are ritual paintings that represent specific teachings. So we have the medicine Buddha, we have different ones. You can kind of, in some ways, think of these as PowerPoints because there's a lesson in each of those. All right, so those are called tankas. Now, Tibetan Buddhism is bright and colorful. Zen Buddhism is very soft, very green, very serene. So you hear about all these different types of Buddhism. Did you know that Raleigh is in the top 10 population in the United States for a Buddhist population? Blew me away. I actually had to look it up and make sure it was true. And it's not just Tibetan Buddhism. We have Chinese Buddhism. We have Zen Buddhism. There's Buddhist temples all over the Raleigh area. I had no clue. Vietnamese. There's a couple of them that are very close here. But Raleigh is in the top 10 for a Buddhist population. I'm going to start going through some of these facts again. I'm going to throw a bunch at you and then we can talk about it. So just try to breathe with me for a little bit. So in Tibetan Buddhism, the Dalai Lama, because I'm kind of sliding some slides around because we were talking about this earlier. The Dalai Lama is our spiritual leader in Tibetan Buddhism. There are literally 4 schools of Tibetan Buddhism, and basically you'll find all of these in the West. Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, and Gelug. Dalai Lama is the spiritual leader of the Gelug tradition. He is not the spiritual leader of all of the Tibetan Buddhism, although they all do revere him and they all do listen to him, but they all have their own spiritual leaders. Now, what's different? Nothing. Okay? What's different between Vietnamese Buddhism and Chinese Buddhism or Tibetan Buddhism or Zen Buddhism? Really nothing. The base is all the same. The core belief of loving kindness, it's all the same. It's just that it's just differently how they approach it. It's no different really than a lot of the Christian spirituality, Methodists and Lutherans. It's all pretty similar. It's just how do they approach it. And so again, I am not the historian. I think really the only thing that really interests me about the actual date type of thing is the fact that Confucius, Socrates, and the Buddha all lived approximately pretty close to each other. And so I just tried to get my world place. But let's just go through some of the factual, historical facts about the Buddha. So he's not a man. He is not a man. He was just a guy. His name is Siddhartha Gautama. You could actually read many different books about him. He was born about 2,500 years ago. He was born into a very wealthy family. He was a prince. All right. When he was born, they actually had a prophet, a seer, come in and do a reading over him. Again, we're talking 2,500 years ago. So it's one of the things that they did. And this prophet said that he's going to be a phenomenal spiritual leader or a great king. It's going to be one of those two things. And of course, like any good dad, he wants his son to follow in his footsteps. So he was deliberately shielded from all of the realities of life. His dad did not want him to, really get out there and see the world. We all want to kind of wrap our kids up in cotton wool, and he definitely was wrapped up, and it was really natural for his dad to really want him to take over. So he was kept. He was was said to be a very introspective man, a very good-looking man, a very talented man, able to grasp concepts and stuff very easily. And like any young man, he snuck out of the palace a lot. And so when he snuck out of the palace, he would see things that bothered him. And they talk about this in all of the different writings. He saw a sick person, he saw an old person, he saw a dead body, and he saw a wandering mendicant. And why are those things? They call those the four sights. Because what is that? That's the kind of stuff that we see. I'm curious, how many people in this room have ever truly seen a dead body? So that's actually quite surprising, because most of the time in Western culture we don't, unless it's closed casket or different things. Most of the time we don't. In our Western society, even now, we tend to downplay death quite a bit. So most of the time I don't get that reaction, so that's kind of surprising to me. But so he was really sheltered, but these four sights, they really bothered him. And so he was very introspective and trying to figure out, why is there all of this suffering? He didn't really understand it. And as he was going through, I'm better if I just talk about it and not try to read what they tell me to read. I'm better if I let that go. Okay. So literally, his dad was trying to control his life. He married him off at a very young age. He had him get married to a young woman to, again, prosper the land. And so he had a son. But it was just shortly after this that he just thought, I just can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. So he left. He left his wife. He left his child. That's nothing we recommend doing. But it's what he did. It's what he felt like he had to do. So he literally left. And so he left this life of opulence. He left this life where everything that he needed and wanted was taken care of. And he went out and he started studying. This was in India. He started studying with all of these yogis and all of these teachers. And he was going through all of these different teachers, and he would learn what they have to say, and then he would move on because he wasn't finding what he was needing. And he actually got in with a group of other mendicants, and they went down this ascetic path, right? Where they had learned all they could, and it wasn't working. They weren't getting what they needed. And so they really did that, where they gave up everything. There's studies where they talked about where they were subsisting on very little water and 1 grain of rice a day, and just really going into just the total turning everything away. You see the pictures, I think, sometimes where they've got up the Buddha where you can see just the skull and bones, right? And so he went down so he went from one extreme all the way to the other extreme. And at one point, he was so weak, it said he was so weak that the story goes that he was laying by the river, and that a musician came by on a raft, and he had what would be akin today, I think, of a lute or a guitar. And they were speaking, and the musician was talking about, I can't string this guitar too tightly, it won't play beautiful music. I can't have the strings too loose. So it's basically, you've got to have it just perfectly balanced in the middle. And so this was his kind of aha moment of the middle way. You can't do one extreme or the other. And then he was taken care of by a young woman, fed, he gained his strength back. And again, he just kept looking at his mind. I can't, I've tried both extremes, and neither one are giving my answers. I've studied with all of these great people, and I'm just not getting my answers. And so he just thought, I've just got to stop, and I'm going to look at my mind. And he went to Bodh Gaya in India, and he sat down under the Bodhi tree. And the story is, he just sat there and he looked at his mind. And he became enlightened by looking at his mind. And what does that mean? So his name, Buddha, is a title. And his name is Shakyamuni Buddha. Shakya means clan, Muni means sage, and Buddha means enlightened one. So what is the definition of enlightenment? Okay, fully remove all your obscurations, remove all negative states of mind, fully develop all virtuous, all positive states of mind. You're fully awakened. That's enlightenment. Just for kicks and giggles. What time is it? I still got time. I'm doing good. Okay. Positive states of mind. Tell me some positive states of mind. Just shout them out. Gratitude. Love. kindness. What again? Compassion and bliss. What else? Happiness? Peaceful. Okay, so there's just a few. Positive states of mind. Negative. Doubt. Fear. Big one is not up there. Anger. Ego. Hate. Anxiety. Okay. We could just go on. Okay. Here's our positive. Here's negative. Now, once we get into this, we're going to be looking at this closely. But literally, hate. Love counteracts hate, right? Compassion can help with a number of these different things here. Okay. Suffering mostly. Happiness, sadness. Okay. So the balance. Literally, the Buddha, this young man, developed all of the positive states of mind, and he literally got rid of all of these negative states. That's it. It's that simple. What do you think? Do you think if we could all do this? This is all we want to do is this, right? Just get rid of this, right? It's easy to say, hard to do. But there is a path, okay? It is possible. We have the ability to work with our minds. We have the ability to change our minds. All right? So it's getting rid of the positive states of mind. The Buddha developed his positive states of mind, and he developed his compassion and wisdom. Wisdom, what does that wisdom mean? The ability to see reality as it really is. Okay? The compassion and wisdom. Those are the two wings of the bird of enlightenment. You have to have both. There's a joke about you can't be just kind or you can't be just smart. You have to be both in Buddhism. Because if you're just kind, you're just compassionate, but you don't have the wisdom to help and to do, you really can't make a difference, right? And if you're just smart, you may not feel the need to help others. So you really have to be both. They do walk hand in hand. As are my tattoos mean. Somebody's going to ask me that. That's exactly. Compassion and wisdom. They were written by my Tibetan monks, so I know that they say what they're supposed to say. Okay? And I do this just because that's the main practice. It really is. Getting that compassion and wisdom, the compassion, the wish to help others, and the wisdom to truly see things as they really are. And so that's it. If we can do that, we too can become enlightened. That's kind of the whole point. The Buddha, again, this guy was just a guy. He was not a god. He was just like, who's the guy that discovered Newton? He discovered gravity, right? He's not a god. We don't worship him. Shakyamuni Buddha discovered enlightenment. He discovered how to look at your mind. So we don't worship him, but we study him. So you just really need to work with that. We do not worship this. Does that kind of make sense a little bit now? So he's not a god, he was a discoverer. And since he wasn't a god, when he became enlightened and he had these realizations and he was able to look at his mind, understand his mind, see reality as it really was, he could not get up under that Bodhi tree and go out and magically say, you are all enlightened, because he's not a god. So he did the next best thing, he taught. He became a teacher. Who are the first people that he taught? That was good English. Who are the first people that he taught? It was those 5 mendicants that he was with before. So when he left them to go his own way, he came back. And he found them, and they took a little bit of convincing. And so the first teaching that he ever gave was they call it the first turning of the wheel of Dharma. I'm going to start throwing some terms at you. The first turning of the wheel of Dharma. So Dharma means that which protects, that's which holds. Conventional Dharma is the teachings. Okay, all of these are Dharma. The books that we have out there, those are dharma. That's conventional dharma. The ultimate dharma is actually the realizations. When you go from theoretical knowledge to experiential knowledge, when you have that aha moment, you all know what I'm talking about too. Just however you do that, when you all of a sudden get it. Now all of a sudden you get it, you own it, right? And then it becomes not just book learning, you get it. And you have a different level of understanding. So that really is ultimate dharma. And the major takeaway is that everything in Buddhism, every single thing in Buddhism, every single thing in this room, every single picture, every single color, every single statue is all about your mind. Your mind is different than my mind, is different than her mind. We all have different minds. We all have different needs. We all think a little bit differently. That's why there's 84,000 teachings, because there's something up there for everybody, okay? So it's trying to go through these things, cherry pick these things to see what works for your mind, okay? So you talked about needing to lessen some anxiety and some of these things that you do. I used to think that I was not an angry person. I don't think I'm an angry person. I'm not angry. I'm a very easygoing person. But what I am is I'm an impatient person. I can be impatient. I can be impatient at the red light. I can be impatient in the grocery store. I can be impatient at the driver's place. Okay, so I'm impatient. Impatience is the first step on the rung to anger. Okay, once you start to realize your mind and start to watch these, most people just don't flame into anger at a moment's notice, right? There's a build. And once you start looking at your mind and you start being able to work with these and separate these out and see these mind moments, you can start working with them. So Buddhism is literally about the mind. He gave the first teaching that he gave, let me make sure I covered that. The first teaching that he gave was the Four Noble Truths, okay? And this is the Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the cessation of suffering, and the truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. That's a mouthful, and it sounds pretty problematic. It's all about suffering, suffering, suffering. That's one of the things we always hear. Buddhism is all about suffering. It's not. You can turn this around. You can say the truth of happiness, the truth of the cause of happiness, the truth of the cessation, the truth of how to be more happy, and the truth of the path to happiness. If you don't understand these terms and you don't follow them, you don't understand them. You have to understand suffering and what truly causes suffering so that we can get rid of it, so that we can do it. These monks that I work with are the happiest people that I know. When I was over in India and working with some of these, I was at the monasteries and stuff, we're talking sheer joy. It's, how old is everybody out here? That Harry Met Sally movie? I want some of that. I'm telling you, they're the happiest people I've ever seen. And it's learning what they're doing and the way that they're working with their mind and really trying to study this. So we're going to use this as the basis of all of our classes. Okay? We're going to keep coming back to this. This is the first teaching that the Buddha gave. And we're going to use this as kind of that base of this class, of how we're going to kind of move through this class. Make sure we get this. I'm still doing... Okay, so we've kind of got what we've got going on here. Our website, kadampa-center.org, there's handouts. Okay, so one of the things we're going to be doing is some of the meditation, that 7-point meditation posture, and some of the meditations that we have, they're all on that website. If you go to our website, click on Spiritual Programs, Introductory Programs, Buddhism in a Nutshell, all of the handouts are there. Go ahead and print them off. You can print them all off. You can read ahead of time. It doesn't matter to me. But every one of the handouts that we have and the meditations that we're going to do in this class are there. So that's how you can find some of those. This recommended reading, I'm going to go over this real quick because I want to get to some more fun stuff. Buddhism for Dummies is phenomenal. It's just basic. If you just want to cut to the chase on a lot of stuff, if you guys like the history stuff, want to find out all those dates, this is a great, great book. I recommend it highly. Buddhism in a Nutshell. This class is based on this book. And this was written by Venerable Amy Miller, a Western nun, and this class is based on this book. Now, I have 5 nights of an hour and a half, and that's it. So, and we're going to have a lot of discussion, so I don't have the time that she has in this book, and there's an audio CD in the back, okay? And so if you really are interested, I highly recommend this book because it really explains it in a lot more depth than I can, and the audio is phenomenal. She does a lot of the teachings, she does meditation, she has a very soothing voice, and Venerable Amy is going to be visiting here at Kadampa Center at the end of February. So if you're at all intrigued and this is going well, I can't recommend highly enough to come to her teaching. It's going to be a weekend teaching at the end of February. She's awesome. She is awesome. So come check her out. Everybody asked me my favorite books and what brought me The Art of Happiness. I can't recommend that highly enough, too. Trying to get through all of these. Meditation. There's a book called Kathleen McDonald's How to Meditate that is phenomenal. It's basic. It has very clear meditations. There quite a bit of them are Buddhist. There's some meditations on loving kindness in there. So there's some great, that's another really good one. My plan for the meditation part of this is to do a meditation at the beginning of class and a meditation at the end of class. And I think we'll do like strict concentration meditations for the first, and then when we get that down, maybe the last day we'll do a true analytical meditation, so you really get the difference of them. So these will be mostly guided meditations. They are in the handout, so we'll work with that. So after the Buddha taught, Buddhism really started to spread. So Buddhism really started in India, right? Everybody always thinks that it started in Nepal and Tibet, but truly it started in India. And if you go look up the historical side of it, you can see how it spread from India, Sri Lanka, Asia, Southeast Asia, China, Japan, Tibet, and many different Buddhist traditions just came because of the socio-ecological, geological areas that they came from. You can even see it in what I call Buddha light, the Buddhist decorations that are all over the United States right now. So you can see the pointed hats are on the Thai Buddha. Chinese Buddha has the happy Buddha, the big fat one, smiling and stuff. So it just takes on the different cultures of where it's from. But the core is all the same. And so the strains of Buddhism, Hinayana and Theravada and Mahayana, again, the core is all the same. And a lot of it is one you'll find more up in the northern India and one more the southern India. Hinayana and Theravada is more individual release from suffering, which is nirvana. Nirvana and enlightenment are not the same things. Okay? Nirvana is really more the individual release from suffering. Mahayana is not only nirvana, but it is enlightenment, reaching enlightenment. And the reason Mahayana is more, I want to become enlightened for the benefit of all beings. And so it's sometimes they call it the greater vehicle and the lesser vehicle, but that's really not an apt description in my mind, because it's just like a swimmer. You have to know how to swim before you can save somebody else. So they work together in my mind. You have to do it for yourself before you can help anybody else. So, but everything in here is about the mind. Developing the positive states of mind leads to happiness. This leads to happiness. Developing those, if you developed all of those positive states and you got rid of that, you would be happy, wouldn't you? Removing negative states of mind, all of those things cause suffering. So this whole thing, that's the definition of enlightenment. Developing the positive states of mind, removing the negative states of mind. What if I told you that everybody in this room, all you want to do is be happy, right? Couldn't you say everybody in the United States wants to be happy? Couldn't you pretty much say everybody in the world? That's all we want to do, right? Everybody, that's all anybody wants to do, is be happy. That's really it, right? Just be happy. I don't want to suffer anymore. I don't want to worry about things. I don't want to. Now, we're going to talk about what that kind of means a little bit more. And in order to do that, we have to understand the mind. I'm going to whip through. It's almost 8:15, so we've got about 15 minutes left. So now let's get into a little bit of the fun stuff. So what is the mind? What is the mind? We have to get on the same page of what is the mind. The mind is non-physical. It is not the brain. We are not talking about the brain. It is clear. You can think of it like a clear sky, clear lake, mirror. It is aware. We talk about 5 senses, okay? Well, we're going to add another one. So it's sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, and mental awareness. Let's add that mental awareness to this. Its function is to know. That's its job. And there's no beginning, and it's continually changing. So let's hold that thought for a minute. And we have the ability, because this mind is non-physical, because it's clear, because there's no beginning and it's continually changing, we have the ability to work with our minds and change our minds. So what does that actually mean? So what is the mind? What truly is the mind? All of those things, our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts, all of these things that we talk about, consciousness. You can use the term interchangeably with consciousness. All right? So the mind is, when you are able to work with your mind and you slowly start to do this, you slowly start to work on this, you slowly start to meditate, become familiar with how your mind works, then you can start to actually make a difference with your mind. You can change your mind, because you are not your anger. You are not your happiness. You're not your love, okay? Your mind, you have the ability to put those things in your mind, okay? So what you find is that belief in Buddhism, that we have the ability, it's very empowering. This is, to me, a very empowering. It takes the victimization side out of things. It's very empowering. You have the ability to work with your mind, and you can change your mind, and you can become a kinder, happier, more peaceful person. And it takes some work. It's not easy. Simple to say, a little bit hard to do. Okay, how do we do it? We look at our mind, we study, and we practice. And what do we study? The Lam Rim. The Lam Rim is the original Buddhism for Dummies. And that's an organization of all of the Buddhist teaching in a step-by-step graduated path. It's simple but not easy. This is a class to us. When you come on Sunday mornings, it is not like your normal Christian church sermon where you're going to listen to it. You'll see people with notebooks. You'll see people, learning. We think of this as a school, and these are classes. And we sit down and we learn and we think about it, and then we go home and we meditate on it. We think about it some more. So how do we do it? It's simple, but it's simple to say, but it takes practice. It is ongoing practice. That's why they call it. I call myself a practicing Buddhist, because that's what it's all about. You're practicing. So what does it mean to be Buddhist? Where do you look for happiness? Where are you looking for happiness? You're not looking out there. You're not looking out there. You're looking in here. Your happiness is not out there. It's in here. You can say that, and you actually know it in some ways, but you don't really understand it. So if happiness was money, all of those rich people would be happy, wouldn't they? But we hear about, all of their problems all the time, right? So it's not money, and if you say, if I just had a new car, I'd be happy, right? So it's intermittent happiness. I'd be happy for a while until I get a scratch in it, or then it's, 2 years old now, it's not new anymore, so that's changing. If I just had a new job, if I had a better boss, if I had all these different things, right? So we tend to think about that. If I just had, chocolate chip cookie, the things that, what do we talk about? We say this, especially in our culture. Oh, I'd be just happy if I could get this. I'd be happy if I could get that. But that's not really what we mean, because that's just that moment, that transcendental, that moment of happiness. You really, if we're talking about true happiness, you have to look inside, because if it was just about stuff, then everybody that had stuff would be happy, right? I know people that have nothing. I know people that are, suffering. They've stage 4 cancer. I've got a very good friend that is stage 4 cancer. Has been dealing with this for a few years, and he's probably one of the most happiest, kindest people I know. I'm a cancer survivor. I know exactly what he's going through. I know a lot of people that just don't seem to have very much, but they're very happy. And I know a lot of very wealthy people that just don't seem very happy at all. So it's, people like this, so where is happiness? It's not out there. In Buddhism, we're looking inside. And so we're working with our minds. And again, this is, I'm throwing a lot at you, but this is, you'll start to see it come together in a little bit. But what it means to be Buddhist is we're looking inside instead of outside. We'll come back to the Four Noble Truths. So it's admit you're sick. The truth of suffering. You've got to understand what that suffering is. You've got to admit that there's something wrong. That's the first thing in order to fix it, you got to understand it, right? The second noble truth of the cause, the diagnosis. So you're going to the doctor, you're finding out, okay, here's what's wrong. You're getting the diagnosis of the things that are wrong. Then you get the treatment and the medicine. So you've gone to the doctor, now you've got your prescription, you've got this medicine in your hand. Well, guess what? You actually have to take it. My husband is like the worst. He'll go to the doctor, he'll get this medicine, he'll take it for 2 or 3 days, and then he stops. Okay? You have to do it. You know, you're not going to be able to go out and run that marathon if you don't go to the gym, if you don't actually do it. You're not going to wake up and just be able to do this. If you want to learn how to play the piano, you've got to take lessons. You've got to learn. Nobody just started driving that car. You had to take lessons. You had to learn. So it's learning and then actually doing. So this is basically, in a nutshell, what we're going to be talking about and discovering here. So what are... How much time do I have? 10 minutes. 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. So, suffering. One of the things that we have to do is make sure, again, that we're all on the same plane here. When we say the word suffering, I don't want to use the suffering, I'm going to say dukkha. Dukkha is Tibetan for suffering. And it's a different meaning than what our suffering. When we think of suffering, we think of the first one, suffering of pain. Oh, I broke my leg. Oh, I've got a cold. This is your basic number one thing that we think of. Suffering in what we're going to be talking about is going to go deeper, okay? The suffering of change. The air conditioner was gone, so I got too hot, now I'm too cold. I'm too hot, I'm too cold. It's like jumping in a pool and yelling, I'm wet. It's the suffering of change. Things are changing all the time. Everything is changing. You got that new car and you got a first scratch. Everything is going to change. You got that new job, but in a week, in 2 weeks, in a year, it's not new anymore. It's old. Everything is changing. Everything is changing all the time. You're changing. You're not the same person you were a year ago. You're not the same person you were 5 years ago. You're not the same person you were last week. You're changing. Your relationships change. Everything is changing. And the suffering of change, we don't like change. We want everything when we get stuff, well, I shouldn't say that. We want change, but we only want the change that we want. We don't want the change that we don't want. Okay? And that kind of leads into that pervasive compounded suffering that's a little bit harder to understand as a deeper level. Just by being here, we're really suffering. Okay? We know we're born and we have to die. Okay? We live in this world, this samsara, this constantly turning. You're going to learn all of these words and stuff. So we have, just because we live, we're suffering. Right? So that kind of sucks in some ways, but it's trying to understand the truth of suffering. We're talking about dukkha. So when I say suffering, when we talk about the Four Noble Truths, we're not talking about, oh, I broke my leg. We're talking about all of that mental suffering that we have. Okay? Now when we talk about all that suffering, when we talk about this, if we can get rid of it, we can be happy. So again, this is not, everybody says Buddhism is very depressing. It's not. It's the most freeing thing I've ever studied. But we have to identify it so we can learn how to deal with it. It just makes sense. It's just very logical to me. Is this making sense at all? I'm gonna switch gears now because I think we only have a few more minutes. I'm always going to try to start on time and I'm going to try to stop on time. I'll always be around afterwards for questions. My email is sandy@kadampa-center.org. They just gave me that, so I actually have to set it up, so don't email me for a couple of days, or I'll try to look. But if you have questions and you don't want to ask them in class, email me. I don't know all the answers, but I really do know people who do know the answers.
Sandy,
Yeah,
do you mind if I just add something about suffering?
please.
Can you hear me? I mean, the word suffering is really onerous and it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
And it really helps me to think of any mental dissatisfaction is suffering. Any kind of little, oh, I didn't get that parking space, or that is mental suffering. And that is, all that, is included in what we mean when we say suffering.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? So again, this was kind of the driest part of the class, just to get to some of this stuff. We're going to get into some of these things of, I want to talk about karma, what exactly karma is. We want to talk about what do we mean by emptiness. We're going to have that's going to be class 5 because that's kind of the deep end of the pool, but we'll go there for a little bit. So we want to get specifically about some of these tools. What is the mind? How do we work with it? What do we mean by rebirth and reincarnation? How do all of these things come to be? What are some of these deep concepts? We had to have kind of a basic so we can do that jumping off point. But I am going to stop right now because I want to do a couple of things. We'll end with a very brief meditation. But I want to also explain, because we've got an opportunity right now that we don't always have. Sundays are Geshe Geluk and Geshe Sangpo are our 2 resident monks. They are Tibetan monks from India. Geshe is from India. Geshe Sangpo is from Nepal. He's actually overseas right now. Geshe Geluk is phenomenal. If you have a chance to come on Sundays, I cannot recommend that highly enough, because to learn from a true Tibetan master, Geshe is a title. His name is Geluk Choda. Geshe is a title, and he's got 30 plus years of study. Not only is he a Geshe, he's a Larumpa Geshe, which means like summa cum laude. And he is so advanced. He is a very humble man, but he truly is, I said, the real deal, okay? His teacher is Khensa Rinpoche. One of Khensa Rinpoche's teachers is the Dalai Lama. So I always like to think that the Dalai Lama actually hears about what happens here at Kadampa Center. So if you get the chance, Sunday nights are great. Monday nights, last night was the first start of, we've got a class called Discovering Buddhism, which is a 2-year course that's split up into 14 different modules, where they'll take 5 weeks to talk about karma. They'll take 5 weeks to talk about emptiness. They'll take 5 weeks to talk about your spiritual guide. They've got this entire course that goes on. It's phenomenal. Last night was the first class of DB module number 1. This only starts every 2 years. You went last night, and like I said, a lot of tonight was a repeat of last night. Not too bad. Robbie Watkins leads that class. I'm not saying, oh, go to his class and not come to mine. If you could do both, that would be wonderful, because they're going to be slightly different. I only have the ability to just go top level in my 5 weeks that I've got with you, and if you're truly new, then this is probably where you need to be, because we'll skip over all of these subjects so you kind of have a good place. But I just don't want you to miss the opportunity. Yes, ma'am.
That's once every Monday, right?
That's every Monday night. He's going to be 5 or 6 weeks on Monday nights.
So do they offer like a live version or online?
So the FPMT.org, it's underneath. FPMT.org does have an online version of Discovering Buddhism. If you go there, that's, like I said, we're an FPMT affiliate. FPMT, Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition, mouthful, is, and I really should have done this before, Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche and the Dalai Lama are the pictures back there. So way back in the 50s and 60s, when all the hippies were going over to Nepal and wanting to learn about Buddhism, these 2 monks thought, okay, since they're coming over here, we really need to come to the West. And so they started coming over and teaching way back in the 50s and 60s. They started this FPMT organization. Right now there's close to 170 centers in 40 countries worldwide that teach Buddhism. If you go online, they have a Discovering Buddhism course it's exactly the same thing that we teach here. There may be a fee for it online. The Kadampa Center is one of the few that really does things just on a donation basis, but you can also YouTube it. I think that they're all up online, so if you wanted to do that. We also do streaming. Chris takes all of the things and streams. And I just wanted to say this because that's an opportunity that doesn't always come around. feel free to come to both classes. I just want to make sure that you knew that that was available. But in our upcoming classes, we're going to go deeper into what the mind is. We're going to go deeper into what karma means, how to work with your mind, what does that mean, some of these other concepts, and it's going to be much more discussion. This was really much me throwing information at you. But we're going to be into a lot more discussion. I like to use the board. I really like to have more questions and discussion, because then you get what you want out of it. And no questions. Everybody totally understood everything I was saying.
You'll have a stream of tonight's session, is that right?
So, Chris, you... Yeah, she can review it. He will be streaming. I'm not sure. Sometimes it can take a couple of days to get this up.
No, the stream is up right away.
Oh, the stream is actually going on right now.
It's a YouTube broadcast, so after it closes, it'll get changed to a real YouTube thing, so it'll be there.
Okay, there you go. Then you'll just have that boring thing of looking at me. But like I said, this is just the basics. I am very appreciative of you all coming. Did we have a question?
Yes. Once you reach that enlightenment state, are there relapses or?
Nope. Once you hit that level, you are done.
So
There's no relapses.
Studying and
Once you reach enlightenment and you have totally removed all of this and you have that, you are enlightened. There is no relapses. You are omniscient. You know everything. You're not omnipotent, so it's not like you have this power. Again, you're not a god, but you have totally cleared your mind stream. So once you hit that, okay, there's no relapses. Now, when you're at my level, lots of relapses, okay? So this is the battle. This is why we say practice. But once you get there, you're done.
So I did have a question about, I feel like the point is you're not supposed to be beating yourself up.
Absolutely.
How do you not get upset with yourself for feeling all the things on your negative list?
So I don't have a short answer for that, but I really do have a little bit of an answer for that, okay, because we have to. It's very easy. One quick thing is, for whatever reason, we can be compassionate for others, right? If you see somebody, you can be compassionate for them. Why can't we be as compassionate for ourselves? You do it for others. I'm guessing you do it pretty easily for others, but you have to turn that and be compassionate for yourself too. There's an actual meditation that I can teach you that maybe I'll put on the docket for this, because it was an amazing experiential wow for me. So there really is a way, because you just can't accept where you are, and you're doing the best you can. And you just let it become one of your mantras, man. You're doing the best you can. Ken, did my Minnesotan come out?
Just to go back to the question about enlightenment. So has anyone besides the Buddha ever achieved it?
So yes, guess what? The Buddha is only one Buddha. There were many Buddhas before, and there are many Buddhas after. Buddha is, again, it's a title. This is the historical Buddha that we study. There were Buddhas before. For all I know, there could be a Buddha in this room, okay? Because what is a Buddha? A Buddha is somebody that's there to help others, okay? That's part of this enlightenment and that wish to help others. And that can come in many different forms. There's a game, a practice that you can do just to pretend that everybody you meet during the day is a Buddha. And it's because you're learning. Again, this is going to come a little bit later, but there are more. This is only the historical Buddha. There were many before, and there have been many after. Yes, ma'am.
I worked with a life coach for quite a while, and that's okay. And one of the things that she taught me was that it's okay to feel what you're feeling, but it is your choice to change how you feel about it.
Exactly.
And so, you don't have to beat yourself up. I mean, if you've had a bad day, or you're angry about something or whatever, okay, you feel it, move on, change the mind, and, really falls into place about what you've been talking about.
Yeah, and I will give you, like I said, I say that there's no homework. I lied, okay? But it's homework only if you choose to, like Mission Impossible. If you choose to accept this, and then I will stay and do a meditation for those who want to go over. If not, let me just give you this little piece of homework and then you can let go. So we talked about intention, setting a motivation, setting a dedication. When you get up tomorrow morning, as soon as you can, I want you to set an intention for the day. I want you to set a motivation for the day. As soon as you remember, whether it's that first cup of coffee or driving into work, I don't care. Oh, Sandy said I'm supposed to do this. Set an intention for the day that I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to try my utmost to have a good day. So you're setting that intention, whatever that means. Whatever that means. You're going to go to work and you're just going to try to let some things go. You're going to get along with that coworker you don't, just, I want to have a good day today. Just set that intention tomorrow. I want to have a good day. And then just think about that sometimes during the day. Is it a good day? Am I having a good day? Check in with yourself. And then tomorrow night when you go to bed, at the end of the night, I want you to check. Okay, how was my day? Did I have a good day? You know what? I did the best that I could today, and I'm going to dedicate these efforts. There's some things I did really well, some things maybe I could do better, but you know what? I did the best I could today, and I'm going to dedicate these efforts that I made today to myself and to the benefit of all others. Just kind of bookend your day. Just try it, okay? I bookend meetings. I bookend this class. I try to do it. It helps me with my mindfulness. So just try it. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of those are Sandyisms, okay? I'll give you some of the tricks that I do, all right? And some of the things that help me. You check them out. It's just like going to the grocery store. Man, this works, that doesn't. I like this, I don't like that. But I'll throw some of this stuff at you, and then you can just check it out. It's a way to become more mindful and more aware, because once you're aware of it, you have the ability to work with it. We go so blindly through our days. And if we just stop and just become a little bit more aware, it can help. And again, I'll give you some triggers and stuff, and we'll talk about this, because this is the root of what Buddhism is all about. The ability to change your mind. You may not be able to affect the things that happen to you, but you certainly can affect the way you react to them. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about in this class. So again, for those who want to go, because it's past time, and I don't want to keep anybody past their time. Okay, for those who want to stay and do a brief meditation, we can start that in a minute, but it's completely up to you. I promised to start and stop on time, so I'm just going to cut everybody some slack. And thank you so much for coming. All right. Find one of the meditations. Let's do this one. Okay. I'll go briefly through that 7-point meditation posture again, and then we're going to do the meditation called Scanning the Body, and it's handout number 2 on the website. So again, get yourself in a stable position. Your legs, whether you're sitting on the ground or sitting in a chair, feet flat on the floor or sitting across, make sure that you're up so that your back is as straight as possible. Get your hands in that comfortable position, whether on your knees or in the position of the right hand on the left, creating that little teardrop and tucking it right under your navel. Your back, you want your back straight but not stiff. Shoulders back so that your lungs can expand. Get your eyes comfortable, your jaw loose, head slightly tilted forward, and your tongue touching the roof of your mouth just behind your teeth. And focus your attention on your breathing. Breathe naturally. Become present in the moment and place where you are. Focus the mind on the rising and falling of your shoulders and chest as you inhale and exhale gently. Allow your mind to settle, become calm and present, and ready to engage in meditation. Create an altruistic motivation for this meditation session, and think you are meditating not just for your own individual benefit, but you're taking the time now to meditate and develop your mind to become a wiser and kinder person, able to be of benefit to all beings. Focus your attention on your physical body. Find the most suitable sitting position for meditation, with your spine straight and erect, a position in which you can be aware and awake but not stiff or rigid. Focus your attention on the lowermost point of your body, where your body is in contact with the earth. Feel the substance and earthy character of your body. Concentrate for a moment on that contact, on the weight and substance of this physical form. Pay attention to the character of your mind and your consciousness while focusing here. Now slowly and mindfully move your attention upward through your body. Pay close attention to every aspect of your body, your physical sensations. Note areas of tension and relax them. Note any sensations of coolness or warmth. Note places where one part of your body is touching another. Move upwards through your legs and your hips, your hands and your lap. Note the curves of your body silhouette. Move upward, your belly, your waist, the curves of your arms. Continue to move upward, the rising and falling of your chest with your breathing, the curves of your shoulders. Keep moving upward, slowly, mindfully. Pay special attention to your shoulders, neck, and jaw. If there's tension there, relax those areas. Move still upward, the tilt of your head, until you reach the crown of your head. Allow your attention to rest at your crown for a moment. Pay attention to the character of your mind, your consciousness while focusing here. Is your mind's character different while concentrating here than it was when you were focusing on the lowermost point of your body? And what difference can you note? Now slowly move your attention back downward through your body in the same way. Move slowly, mindfully, noting everything about your body as you move your attention back downward. Bring your attention all the way back down to the cushion of the floor where your body is in contact with the earth. Again, focus your concentration at this point and note the character of your consciousness when focusing here. And again, note the nature of your mind state when concentrating here and any differences from your mind state when concentrating at your crown. Finally, dedicate your positive energy and insights to the well-being and happiness of all living beings. And bring your attention back to the room. Now, I tend to do that meditation. It's one that I naturally fall into when I meditate, because when I sit down to meditate, I'll get into my position, and then I'll do a scan. And for whatever reason, I tend to do swirls. I don't know. But my mind just kind of goes through my body like this and then back down. So I'd be curious, if you've got a minute, did you feel anything different? Did you feel lighter up here, heavier down here? Did you guys go straight up? Did you swirl? I won't think about your mind when this is going on. What's happening in your mind while I'm reading this and while you're concentrating on these things?
I went from the outside.
Here's one outside. So I want you to have an awareness of what is your mind doing. We're using the mind to work with the mind. So I want you to use your mind to watch your mind. Does this make sense? This is weird, but this is part of it. Yes? Yeah. All the chatter. Yeah, because you're listening and all of a sudden you're focusing on something else. So because you're focusing on something else, all this stuff seems to get quiet for a little bit. And sometimes even that 2 or 3 minutes is worth its weight in gold. Okay? But be aware of your mind. Like I said, this is part of it. So when you're doing these things and you're listening to whatever, even the guided meditations that we do here, I want you to really think about it. Listen to the guided meditations and do it. And then when we're done, I want you to think about what just happened. How did that work for you? What happened? What was good about it? What was bad? I don't like her voice. I wish she'd talk slower. Pay attention to what your mind is doing. This is part of what meditation is. You becoming familiar with your mind. Now, I truly can talk too much. It's after class, so thank you for coming. I appreciate your time. Hopefully you come back and I didn't totally scare you off. And then let me know if you have any questions. Next time I'll start on time and I'll try to end on time.